What's going on? We are back for After the Snow. It's Thursday. We're caught up finally. We just watched episode 4 of Snowfall last night. Things are really heating up. Things are coming together. We're getting a better idea where things are going. And I'm here, as I've been every week, with my partner, Freeway Rick Ross.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on, Rick, man? How you feeling?
This thing out, Dave.
Yeah, it's coming together. It's coming together.
I guess. So many twists and turns, man.
Right.
I mean,
right.
I mean, who they got writing these? You know, who they got writing this thing? You know, you brought up.
We got to get in touch with those. We got to get in touch with those writers and see if we can get them to come on the podcast and talk with us. That'll be interesting.
You think they want to talk to me?
They might. They might. I mean, you know, they might. They need. They need that.
You know, the more I watch it, the more I see similarities in our stories. Leon, you know, he's starting to remind me of my old partner in a lot of ways, you know, and I'm just watching the similarities, like, oh yeah, they jacked.
Now,
that was a jack.
Before we get into that, because I want you to talk about Ali. I just wanted to bring up a couple things. I know we've been getting some pretty good feedback on After the Snow so far. We've been doing some interviews. We got more things lined up.
It's been crazy.
Yeah,
it's been crazy.
I know you
the interviews is like lining up, man. I mean, it's like I added another job to my already busy resume, you know. Meeting some interesting people.
Yeah, you did the Bootleg Kev show yesterday.
Yeah, Kev was cool, man. You know, I've heard about Kev forever. You know, even when I was in prison, you know, I used to hear him on the radio and so forth.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you told me that I was going to interview with him, I was excited. You know.
Yeah.
I won't lie. You know. Because I've already interviewed with a few people. You know, I interviewed with Big Boy, but he never released the interview.
Oh, okay.
I think he's scared.
Okay.
I think he's scared.
Oh man. Oh no.
You know, when I did the interview, I told my manager, like, man, he ain't releasing this. You know, I took him there. I made him go.
Too much powerful information.
Yeah. You know, when you start putting that stuff out, man, people start backing up. Do I really want to say? Did I really mean to say what I said? You know what I'm saying? Even though it's the truth, you know, can I stand up to it?
Yeah.
And you know, I did a post about that too the other day, Dave, and I got to get this off my chest. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how big a fan you are in boxing, but there's a guy by the name of Lomachenko. You know, he was one time considered the pound for pound best fighter in the world, and he lost a couple months back. You know, great fight, you know, but he lost. Started the fight too late, and he lost all of his belts. But he had a chance to win his belts back here in the next couple months. But after Russia attacked Ukraine, he gave up his opportunities, you know, to make a few $1 million, maybe like $15 million, and to possibly recapture all of his belts to go and join his country to fight. And just talking about, you know, the Big Boy interview that never got dropped, you know, the interview was going to be powerful, you know, whenever he probably destroyed that motherfucker. But anyway,
shout out Big Boy.
When I think about this guy Lomachenko is willing to not only give up his opportunity to capture the belt, to maybe be considered one of the greatest fighters of this time, if not of all time, and to make $15 million, he probably was over here staying in a really comfortable house, but he was willing to give up all of that to go and defend his country. And, you know, when I look at our people here in America, black people in America, we don't even speak up, you know. We allow our guys to be isolated when they do speak up, you know. Talking about Kyrie Irving, you know, when he stood up for what he believed, nobody stood up for him. When Kaepernick took a knee, you know, because of police violence, none of the other people stood up for him. You know, when you look at a guy like Lomachenko gave up everything for his country, and then we can't have our people not give up nothing, just speak just say what the real is. And the Big Boy interview just made me think about all that. You know how in that interview he said that what has been happening to me in this country, how they've literally taken things that really belong to me, my properties, and he didn't think it was right.
Yeah, yeah. So he's given
But
up everything to fight, and so when you're talking about, you know, things that are going on with Black folks in America, both today and back then. I mean, this new episode of Snowfall this week is called Revolutions, and so we start to see more revolutionary thinking coming in from Leon, who's now talking about his people and what's being done to Black people and what he wants to do about that and what he's ready to do. Also, Franklin's mom has come back from Cuba and she has a renewed
interesting,
yes,
interesting.
yes,
I was like, where are they going with that one?
yeah, yeah. Well, she has a very a renewed sense of you know just Black power and determination. She's on another level. It seems everybody's going to another level. I was saying everyone's going in this episode across the board. But so yeah, I mean, I kind of wanted to ask you about this before, like you've become an activist. You've been speaking out about a lot of important issues for a number of years now. But back in the '80s, was you or any of your people, like you mentioned, did you guys share this kind of thinking that we're seeing with Leon's character in this episode?
Not to that level. You know, when I was young, my brother marched with the US. You know, the US was almost like the Black Panthers. Uh, Same type of movement. You know, it was during the Watts riots when they first came to my attention. You know, when the National Guards riding down the street in tanks and so forth. Caught my attention as a kid. And my brother, like I said, he marched with us. But for as a revolution, that was pretty much the gist of it. But when we were selling dope, we were into it with the police. I mean, you could say we never shot at them or anything like that, but the police were doing horrendous stuff to us. Planting drugs, lying on the witness stand, fabricating search warrants, moving dope around. They may find dope over here in one spot, but they know if they say they found it in that spot, it wouldn't stick to nobody. So they put it where it would stick, and things like that there. So I guess that's the gist of our revolution during that time. Uh, but we had a little fascination with guns, and my boy Ali really, and I can see kind of the way they're playing Leon is playing that role of Ali, even though his character doesn't favor Ali. They didn't try to, because Ali was a tall guy.
Mm-hmm.
Ali was about 6'1", 6'2", very slender, quiet. Most people thought that he was my bodyguard. They didn't believe that he was my partner. That me and him had started with $125 a piece. So, but I see a lot of resemblance in Leon to Al's character.
Ali, is he still around?
He is. He is.
How's he doing?
We don't. I mean, our friendship is not what it used to be.
Yeah.
We used to be almost inseparable.
Yeah.
Every one of my houses, he had a bedroom at my house. And vice versa. But it seemed like he went to prison too, and I think prison broke him. It changed his drive to be wealthy. I guess he got locked into the fact that drugs was the only way he knew how to make money, and if he can't make money from selling drugs, then he's just gonna be broke. Uh, and that's totally not my mentality. I'm like, no, I'm gonna sell some music. I'm gonna play in a movie. I'm gonna go out and speak. I'm gonna sell books. I'm gonna sell T-shirts. I'm gonna get me some money. And that bringing up the T-shirt, that was one of the highlights of Kev's interview yesterday. Right. He asked me, "Have you ever been on Joe Rogan?" And so he wanted to know, and I told him, "Yeah." He was like, "Man, with all the stuff Joe's going through right now, tell me about your experience with him. And you know, I explained to him how when I went to Joe, you know, I was homeless
Hmm.
per se. You know, I mean, I was living in an apartment, but you know, I hadn't filled out an application to live there, and you know, I could be put out at any time.
Hmm.
And I was hoping Joe Rogan would have gave me some money to get on my feet.
Didn't happen.
No, it didn't happen. Didn't happen. But he gave me some game,
Okay.
which in the long run turned out probably I made more money with the game that he gave me than I would have made, you know, if he'd gave me $5,000 or 10,000 or even $20,000. You know, it wouldn't been as valuable as the game that he gave me. So me and Kev talked about that. So they definitely got to go on there and check out the interview with Kev. Kev was definitely a great interviewer, and it was enjoyable. You know.
Yeah, yeah. One of the scenes in the beginning of the show reminded me of something we were talking about last week. I think when they're packing the trunk of the car up with the keys of cocaine right in the beginning.
Yeah. I saw that. That was different.
Okay.
I would say that's different too. You know, I never saw anybody pack them in there like that. Listen, you know, unless they had a stash spot. You know, now when we had stash spots in the cars, uh, like we had one of those custom vans one time where uh, you open the doors and right in the seam of the car you could take it loose and you could stack them in there like that there. But just stacking them in the trunk like that, I never saw that. Usually when we put them in the trunk, we put them in duffel bags and just fill the trunk
Right.
up with duffel bags.
And you were saying that when y'all made the drops, you would just switch cars. So like they would just take the car with
Oh
everything
yeah,
in it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's much smoother, you know, when you just hand somebody, you know, you walk into the parking lot, you hand them keys, they hand you keys, you know, the switch is really swift, you know, and inconspicuous. You know, it's only a few seconds that the two people are actually in contact with each other. It's not like, you know, you go into the trunk and you getting out a duffel bag and then he go to a trunk and get out duffel bags. One of our things is that we never wanted to have money and drugs in the same place. You know, when you do that, it looks like a dope deal.
Right. While they're packing the car is when we hear this rap song come on, and Jerome, you know, tells the guy to turn it up, and they're, you know, blasting the song, you know, thinking it's cool. I mean, it sounds terrible to me, you know, as far as a rap song. It's not very representative of the quality that California was putting out back in those days. I mean, um, but
You know what I thought it was? I thought he was listening to somebody's demo. You know how those guys come up and they give you those demos and they be horrible. You be like, oh my goodness.
so in the song, he hears, of course, that the rapper is calling out Jerome and, you know, Franklin, and talking about the people that got killed. You know, prayers for Tiana, and, you know, this, that, and the other, sharing all this information. So they're like, man, this guy's telling all our business, and, you know, let's go down. We need to find him. And they go down, and this guy is like got a skateboard, dressed funny in the projects. And so I wanted to find out from you, did you ever see anybody with a skateboard in the projects back in the day?
No. Back in South Central during that time, nobody was riding skateboards. That was uh, different. You know, very different to have a skateboard back in the ghetto back then. So it was really weird, and to be standing on
Yeah.
top of the roof, and the guy was really weird anyway. You know, he seemed like he wasn't all there. You
Yeah.
know, when they interacted with him, because he almost thought that it was a good thing about the CD when he came to him, like they was gonna be proud that he had did the CD. You know, as if he was giving them props.
Yeah, so this is one part I'm disappointed in with the show and the way they're doing it, in terms of the way they're bringing in, you know, rap music into the storyline here, because it doesn't seem realistic. You know, with this kid, and what they're doing really, from what I see, is they're incorporating what we see happening in rap music today, which is, you know, the proliferation of people going on records, on videos, on YouTube, talking about their beefs, calling out different people, calling out dead
Absolutely,
ops. And
absolutely.
this is something, to me, that's gotten way out of hand in the music industry and the record
Well,
companies.
almost like the rapper who stole my name. He did something about Miami, and I tell you, I probably got 10 letters from guys who had been mentioning that song, talking about, man, how can we stop him?
Yeah.
Guys who were in prison, with long prison terms, and it was like, man, how can we stop this guy? I'm fighting my appeal right now. This guy's gonna hurt my appeal, and
Yeah.
it's totally unstreet. With street, say for instance, back in the day, Master Spade did a song called "Old Gray Head Granny," and in that song, he talked about dope dealers, and he knew who we all were. I mean, he could have put our names in there if he wanted to, but he didn't say that. He just said, "You go to the dope man. You go to the dope man. You get an 8-track. You spend $300, you get 900 back." And it was very easy for him to have called out some names, that people would have recognized. But that's not the way, hip hop
Right.
was
Hip
back
hop.
then. Hip hop was the pass the message around of what was going on in the street, but not naming any particular
Yeah.
individuals for the
Yeah,
activity.
so to me, I don't know why they're doing that because again, that's something that's going on in recent years. As hip hop has become more, controlled by the music industry and less by the streets. Like you were saying, back in the '80s and even most of the '90s, the streets really dictated what was going on with the music and the culture, and there was an authenticity and a way of doing things, that's
What's almost insulting to the audience, to now be feeding them things that you haven't really done the research on, you haven't vetted out to get the facts. And I know it's a fiction story, everybody, but it's based on some facts, and people believe that this is there's a lot of people out here believe that this is an absolutely true story. I've had friends who call me from jail that they had arguments with guys who didn't believe that I didn't kill White Rob in real life. Uh, so it's very important that we try to keep this thing as close as we can to the facts, and don't just try to figure out how to bring in something because you're running out of material.
yeah,
I'm pretty sure that they're running out of material now,
yeah. I mean,
and they don't want to
the
they don't want to bring it to an end.
right. Right. I mean, but the music that's starting to take place in LA during this time is, NWA. This is the emergence of, Ice-T and then NWA. And I mean, fuck the police. That's the type of, spirit that hip hop represented.
Well, that's because that what was going on. Bill Gates with the Batarang, uh, cops, illegal search warrants, planting drugs on people, handcuffing them, whooping their ass,
Right.
putting scars in people's face like they did to mine. These are the things that's going on at this time. So quite naturally, that's what was going on inside of the rap community.
Yeah, I mean, rap was a voice to expose a lot of the things that were being done, to black folks in the hood, and the bigger picture behind a lot of this stuff. And it was a voice of consciousness and change. It wasn't a voice of somebody, basically saying, "Oh, you guys are selling drugs, and it's kids and moms are getting killed," or whatever the guy's saying in his song, and he's kind of criticizing.
But it wasn't people wasn't getting killed like that from selling drugs. That's a total, and that's another one of the roots that has been portrayed with black men in the media. You know, let me say, anytime in South Central that somebody got killed, the first thing they wanted to say, especially if they was gang related, it didn't have to be drug related. They just kept trying to put those correlations together, and somebody like me who lived there, I know most fights start in South Central, usually over girls. And then the guy may have sold drugs too, though, but that wasn't the reason these two guys got into a fight. They got in a fight because one of them was probably effing the other one's girl, and he found out about it. they got into a fight. One of them got whooped and didn't take his whooping, and went and got his homeboys, and now you got this great big thing.
Yeah. So I want to go back to what happened in the episode last night a little bit more.
His mom coming back.
His mom coming back.
His mom coming back. Now that was, I thought she was gone for good. I mean, here you are in Cuba, you know, away from all of this stuff. But then I found out that she was involved. You know what I'm saying? She was a coke dealer herself, maybe. I haven't saw that in the thing, but I keep hearing them saying, "You're out," and then they're saying that she's back in.
Right.
You know, like
right. But over the course of the seasons, she began to, you know, get pulled in. In the beginning, first, what you've seen, like she's pretty much staunchly against, Franklin selling drugs and worried about all that stuff. But eventually she kind of starts to, you know, get involved. And that's when she becomes this kind of real estate, mogul, trying to buy properties and do all these things and do deals and, you know, I guess clean up the money that way. So we saw all that happen in the last couple seasons. And then
she became a co-conspirator.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what they call them, co-conspirators.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, see,
in federal terminology, you become a co-conspirator. You know, anybody who cleans up the money or help move the money around is an aider and abetter. You know, in that.
So Sissy,
serious crime.
Sissy's back. That's, you know, she pops up after, I guess, you know, one hearing that Franklin's girl is pregnant. So she's, you know, coming for that. But also I think she's finally, you know, ready to try to do something about what happened to Alton. And of course she comes back and she tells everyone in no uncertain terms that she believes that Alton was murdered by Teddy. And then of course they have to share with her that Teddy's back in the picture. So she's on another, you know, she's on a mission. It seems Sissy is coming back, and she's got.
Oh no, not seems. She's on a mission. You know, she's talking about having Teddy killed.
That's right.
But she wants all the facts first. You know, when she's sitting at the table with the guy, she's literally saying, "Oh yeah, I want you to kill him, but not right now. I want you to do some investigation. I want to find out what happens." And I think she was a little disappointed in Franklin because Franklin is showing some fear of Teddy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Franklin's a little intimidated by, I mean, that's my personal opinion, by Teddy. And I mean, because he said it a few times, you know, as long as I sell his dope, you know, he's going to let me live.
Right.
And
that's what he's telling Veronique, because Veronique gets all worried after the raid happens. And then she, you know, hears more about Teddy from Franklin's mom. And she's like, you know, you didn't tell me all that. Is, you know, how serious a threat is this guy? And that's when he's like, yeah, you know, he's just business. As long as I keep the money going, we're gonna be okay.
Yeah. And she's also questioning when she found the gun in the house too about how secure the house was, or not necessarily the house, but outside of the house. You know, are we safe when we go other places? Yeah, we may be safe here in this house, but how many other places are we safe at? And I don't know if they're necessarily safe there because he showed up at Franklin's door, even though Franklin told him don't show up there no more. This guy seems to have magical powers, you know, where there's almost nothing that he can't do, you know?
Yeah.
And the cop scene, you know, the other scene that really got me was the cop scene with the auntie talking to the cop. I almost thought they was having sex. You know, for
it might be
the way they were
yeah,
talking.
you never know. That might be going. That might be where it does go. That might become the tactic with him.
You know, in our situation with the cops, we never had contact like that where the cops talked to us and told us they want us to turn somebody else in. You know, our cops were more just ruthless gangsters. You know, where they come in and kick doors in and legal search warrants and steal the money and plant the drugs and take you to court and lie on the witness stand and, you know, make the case look bigger than it was, shoot at you when you was unarmed. I mean, this just went on and on and on with these guys.
So you never had the opportunity to kind of get a cop on your side that you could pay off to really.
I never really needed it. You know, by the time the cops found out who I was already a multimillionaire. So you got to look at it like this. here you are, a multimillionaire. You've been doing it on your own. Why would you bring somebody else in? And you're already thinking about quitting. You're already like, I got to quit doing this shit.
Right.
Like,
So what?
It's only a matter of time before I get caught. If I keep going, I'm gonna get caught. So, you just don't bring people into situations like that. It would be like with you, you got the Source magazine going full steam ahead, and then here's some two-bit writer come, off the streets, never wrote an article, and he's like, man, I want to be your partner. For what?
Right.
Why would I take you on? Why would I even entertain your offer?
Do you think? Do you think there was anything going on with Danilo, who we talked about? Is the kind of Teddy character is somewhat based on Danilo. Now, you didn't know Danilo was a CIA operative, but do you think he was pulling any strings behind the scenes to help make sure you were good, keep the heat off you, allow you to in looking back, did you ever feel like, maybe there were?
Well, it was a couple times that he had told us that we shouldn't be working, and our spot got raided a couple times. But that was about the extent of it. They mostly, got their information, back then with the scanners and so forth. Because my understanding is that the sheriffs was on him first. The sheriffs was on Danilo. They raided their properties and everything. But once they got him, then they said the feds came in and told him to back off. But had I known that he was a CIA operative and they had the green light to bring the drugs in, I would have sent my money over there with them, like they asked me to. Yeah. They'd asked me if I wanted to send my money overseas with them.
Oh, okay.
I would have got a better price.
Oh.
And the whole 9 yards. But I felt it was just, like normal hustling. So, that ain't none of that guaranteed. You send that money out and it might not come back with nothing. So I felt it was better for me to keep doing what I've been doing. I was winning already.
All right. So Louis meeting with Buckley. Of course, Louis not letting nobody know that, why that raid on the projects happened, that Buckley had asked her to give him a snitch and she hadn't done it yet. She's keeping that, under her coat there, not letting anybody really in on that. But Buckley plays like you see him now as the typical cop guy who's like, came from the neighborhood but was always getting picked on, and now he's become a cop to try to get back because he's like, these aren't my people, and these are the same people that were calling me red bone all my life. And he was so upset about how he was treated when he was a kid that he don't have.
Back then they didn't hire from the neighborhood. Mm. They wouldn't hire no cops from the neighborhood back then because I'm gonna be honest with you, our community was a much tighter niche back then than it is right now.
Interesting.
It was more. I mean, and I'm even talking about maybe even before the gang started, when you could literally go anywhere in LA, and because I remember when me and my mom first moved out, everybody was blood. When they would see a black one of another, I mean, even, my tennis coach told me even when they was in Vietnam, and two black guys would see each other, it was like always blood, meaning that we're blood brothers. It was one of the things they was really baffled about me is that my community didn't turn me in. The community could have been turned me in. They knew who I was. They saw me walking the streets. They saw me driving new cars when they know that I wasn't driving new cars 6 months ago, So our community was a much tighter niche. We looked out for each other and we had love for each other.
So Franklin goes to Teddy, tries to get his help with the cop situation. Teddy tells him, he don't have that pull anymore after what happened with Alton exposing him. Everybody's too worried, he says. But he also throws in, this comment about nobody cares about, black folks in South Central. So, this ain't a big deal. Don't worry about it. Stick close to your family and they won't be able to touch you.
Well, they got that from Danilo. Danilo said that on the witness stand. He said that, let me see if I can rephrase exactly the way he said that. he said that after Enrique Bermudez had the meeting with George W. Bush Sr. and came back and said the ends justify the means. So Danilo was telling he didn't know the guy was a government informant, and he was telling the informant, "Oh yeah, we just sell it to the blacks, you know, because once they start killing each other and everything, nobody cares." So the informant was secretly recording the conversation. So that definitely was a Danilo Blandon conversation when they said
Right.
that. I mean, as soon as I heard it, I was like, "Oh yeah, they stole
Right.
that." That definitely part of our
Right.
story.
So that's where, Snowfall can be authentic in a sense, because it is pointing out, that reality that, a lot of this was allowed to go on because, the powers that be didn't give a damn about these people in these communities and what was gonna happen to them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it was so much going on in South Central at that time. That was um, the gangs were starting to hit his peaks. You know, and mixed with the drugs and the police brutality, it was just like a ticking time bomb. You know, just waiting for something to explode. Just like it did with the Rodney King riot.
What did you think about the dogs when they let the dogs loose and fight the kid up? Did you see that kind of stuff happening back then?
They let the dog bite me.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You talked about that.
I was handcuffed.
That's right.
They handcuffed me. Uh, I had quit selling drugs. I hadn't been selling drugs for about a year and a half at the time, and I was working on one of my apartment buildings, and they rolled up, and I took off running and ran into a house, and they sent the dog in and found me, and the dog chewed me up. So absolutely, I saw that. I was in the hospital ward, so lots of people came in from dog beats, from dog bites, and they had one particular cop in particular, Marty Coon, who was a dog handler. He was my dog handler, and he had hit the paper about how many people his dog had actually bitten, who people said that they weren't resisting arrest or wasn't fighting or anything when they allowed the dog to attack them.
So Leon goes to see Avi. He wants some heavy artillery. He's ready to take on the cops if he has to. This is becoming another storyline. Um, Avi warns him, what'll happen if they kill cops. And he says, he may just he'll be happy if he gets at least one, something like that. Leon says. So
Yeah, he said that. That's exactly what he
yeah.
said.
So what did you make of that?
Well, my guys, they got tired of being beat up. It's like the Freeway Task Force. They had 35 cops that was put together, assembled to catch me. And the cops started getting frustrated, because they not only could they not catch me, but they couldn't see me. So they started to really punish my guys, and my guys started to get offended, and it started to say, you know what, we're gonna do something to their ass, and they were talking about getting artillery and the narcotic agents that was chasing us. They didn't work out of the police station. They had like a little trailer behind the police station that was for the narcotic agents, where they all went and met. And we found out that that's what their headquarters was, and the homies was talking about tearing that little headquarters up.
Okay, so there's some truth to this part of the story a little bit, that definitely.
Yeah, I had to have a big meeting with the guys behind that, man. I was like, listen, man, you guys gonna send me to prison forever or to death row. Do you know what would happen to me if you guys go down there and blow that place up or shoot that place up? They coming straight and get me.
Wow. Well, that's what Avi is telling Leon. So it sounds like he's telling them the same type of thing you had to tell your guys about that.
It didn't seem like Leon was gonna listen though. I think Leon already had his mind made up. He even showed Franklin's mom's the gun.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting, how that plays out with him, with these guns and with his retaliation. Um, what's going to happen? I'm interested to
Yeah.
find out.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about that scene where Sissy, Franklin's mom goes to see Leon. He doesn't show up to the dinner. and so she heard, these things going on with him. So she goes to talk to him, and she kind of says, there's other ways to make change. It doesn't always have to be violence. Back in the day with the Black Panthers, we had to find other ways. And she said, when you go with violence, she said, violence becomes the story, not justice. And, and it leads to jail for you guys. And that's what they want for Black people. And we got to find other ways to fight and change. So this is, again, that revolutionary, spirit that Sissy's, grown into. She's also talks about socialism down in Cuba where she's been, and how it's not perfect, but how, things are much better for the average person in Cuba in a lot of ways than it is for Black people in America.
And you know what stood out to me on that? The fact that she said everybody in Cuba could read.
Mm.
That they took the time out to educate their people, to make sure that their people understand the basic necessities to life, and reading was one of it. And the other thing I found in there, I found a little contradiction in her saying when she told Leon about the violence. Because on one hand, she's saying, telling him don't do violence, but then on the other hand, she's trying to kill Teddy.
Right. Well,
she's setting Teddy up to be killed.
She feels she has some type of, higher level plan that's going to work, whatever it is. I mean, I don't know who that guy is that we see in the very last scene that she meets at the diner. Ruben, I think was his name. And I don't know if he's, who do you think that guy is? He like a Mexican, operative? Or
he appears to be Mexican.
Yeah. So we talked about, like in the last episode, how how's Franklin going to find a way out of the CIA, dealing with the CIA and Teddy, and Sissy may be the person that provides that way. She has some plan up her sleeve with this guy. So what are you getting from that?
Well, I don't know if Teddy really wants to get out. He hasn't showed me the willingness to be willing to get out yet. I mean, they got enough money already. Did you see all the money that they had on those shelves? It looked like they got about $100 million in there.
So you,
why you still? I mean, people always question me. Man, you had $1 million. Why was you still selling dope? And my only answer is, I was a dummy. It looks like they got 100. I mean, they look like Fort Knox up in there. If you look in the room, I don't know how they made that kind of money working with one duffel bag of dope. But hey, kudos to.
So you're not convinced that Franklin wants to get out?
He hasn't showed me the desire to get out yet. To even want to be out. Right now it's like full steam ahead. I mean, he's trying to pull his uncle and auntie back in to him. He's not telling them to quit selling dope. He's saying, y'all should be getting y'all dope from me, so I can get a cut of that money.
So you don't have an idea of who that guy is at the end? Do you have what would you guess him to be?
I think he's a hitman.
Okay.
I'm predicting him to be a hitman. If I was, my first thing would be a hitman, and then my next one would be an informant who is there playing like he's a hitman, and once she hires him to do the hit, he's going to arrest her. My predictions. Hold me to those. One of those is going to be right.
We're gonna see. We documenting all this in real time every week now. Like I said, I'm happy we got caught back up and we can talk about the episode right away. Get this out there for everybody. We still want all the viewers and listeners to give us feedback. Come on to social media, give us your comments and questions so we can bring those up. You can go to at Breakbeat Media on Instagram. You can go to the Breakbeat Media YouTube channel, and you can follow at Freeway Ricky on Instagram and at The Real Dave Mays on Instagram, and jump on our page and throw some comments in there for us as well. And so,
Yeah, let me know what you guys want me to know about the show. What you think I should have knew that
yeah,
what I missed.
yeah,
Hit
yeah.
me up. Let me
So,
know.
yeah, man. Any other thoughts? I mean,
Can't wait till
next
next
week.
week,
Did
man.
you watch the? They have a little preview of the next week at the end after the credits and stuff go off. Did you watch that?
I didn't. I
Okay,
didn't.
I just peeped that today. So it looks like all hell is about to break loose next week. There's some kind of big war going on, and you hear them saying like somebody's doing this from the inside. They know all our moves, and there's some type of war is breaking out apparently next week. So we'll be ready to talk about all that exciting action in episode 5 next week. Um, Before we go, I wanted to mention two things. Well, I got my Muhammad Ali shirt on today since this was the revolution.
The
Yeah,
champ, the great one.
absolutely. And the revolutions episode, I think of obviously, Muhammad Ali, one of our not only greatest athletes, but just greatest voices for the people and for righteousness and justice and that sort of thing. So I felt it was appropriate to rock the Muhammad Ali shirt today. And then the other reference I wanted to bring in was, yesterday, of course, March 9th, this was the 25th year anniversary of Biggie's assassination, murder in Los Angeles, 1997. Wanted to get your thoughts on that, Rick.
Well, everybody love Biggie. You know what I'm saying? Biggie is one of the greatest rappers of all time. Um, we already know if Biggie was still around, some of these guys wouldn't have that top spot right now. So uh, the mystery behind his murder, that for one, it's never been solved. Um, and I don't know if they want to solve his murder. Um, Supposed to have been some police connections with it and,
That's
and,
right.
and so forth. So um, all that kind of blends right into this mysterious CIA connection.
Yeah, I was going to say that, when I think about the deaths of Tupac and Biggie, um, I think about government interference, involvement. I think about COINTELPRO. I think about, agent provocateurs and different things that were going on to incite this kind of situation. Um, and that's doesn't get talked about a lot, but the connection with Biggie's death and Tupac's death and what happened in your situation where it was, revealed that the CIA was, involved in backing the, sale of drugs and bringing crack cocaine into the hoods. Um, it's all kind of connected. So I thought that was I thought we should acknowledge Big, of course. We have the Unsigned Hype podcast series, documentary series coming from Breakbeat in the next month or so. You guys will be able to tune in and hear the story of Unsigned Hype, which is the column that we had in the Source magazine that discovered Biggie. I'm the one that basically brought Biggie to Puff. Puff and I were friends and had known him since the late 80s when he started interning at Uptown Records. And of course, he started blowing up, making moves as an A&R person. And they finally gave him his first label deal. He called me and he was excited, man. Andre Harrell had just given him a deal for Bad Boy to be an imprint under Uptown Records, and he was looking for rappers. And so I immediately went down the hallway to my boy Matty C, who ran the Unsigned Hype. And Biggie had just been in Unsigned Hype, that month. He was in the new magazine, and Matt said, this is the guy, man. We gotta send this one up to Puff, and we did. Matt brought the demo to him, and Big got signed like a month or so later, and that's how it all happened. So you know,
Man, that's amazing.
yeah,
Remind me, I'm trying to sign a rapper right now. Little kid, I'm trying to sign out of Oakland.
okay,
Dope.
all right. We're gonna be checking
Yes.
for that. Um, And want to mention your fight coming up before we go to what's March 25th?
Oh yeah, Bashan Champ, Bashan Champ, Philadelphia, the
Now,
25th of this month.
now, people who aren't in Philly, is it going to be available to stream anywhere?
Yeah, it's gonna be streaming on Fight. I think it's called Fight TV. I'll have it posted on my Instagram for people who want to come on there and see it.
That's Reed. He's from
Dayton,
Dayton,
Ohio.
Ohio.
Yeah.
Yep. But he's fighting in
So all the
Philly.
people in Dayton, Ohio, make sure you go check your guy out. He representing Ohio to the fullest.
All right, man. It's another good episode. Looking forward to keeping this going. We're just really getting our stride. The season's starting to really come together with episode 4. So, 5 on is going to be, I think it's going to be a thrilling ride. And we're going to keep talking about the show, and we're going to keep getting into more in-depth on some of the important issues, behind the show and the real life things that we've been touching on. We're going to bring in, some guests, and we're going to get more in depth on some of that as the season goes on. So thank you guys. Subscribe on Breakbeat Media's YouTube channel so you can get the latest video alerts, but also go to your Apple or Spotify and search up After the Snow, and you can subscribe on the podcast app because the audio comes out the day before, so you'll have early access to our show on audio, and then Fridays the video on the YouTube channel. So Rick, man, appreciate you.
As always, Big
Yeah,
Dave.
man. Talk to you. We're gonna hit this.
I might be coming to Chicago on the 26th too. Somebody invited me out to a high school, so we don't have all the details yet. But if I come, we definitely got to go to Soul Vegetarian and get us some of that soul vegan food.
You already.
My treat. My treat.
You already know. Yeah, we ain't talked about that being vegan, both of us. So yeah, we're gonna get into that. But yeah, they got a few good vegan spots out here in the Chi that I've picked up on. But yeah, hope you make it out here. Hope I'll be seeing you in person here or in Philly at the fight.
Oh, that'd be dope.
All right, y'all. After the Snow.
All right, my man. Thank you again.
Breakbeat Media.